Hi guys, Devil Hunter XYZ, and I know it's been quite some time, but I decided to get back into doing the good and the bad once again. And this time around, I'm going for 007: The World's Not Enough for the PlayStation 1. And obviously it's the sequel to the Tomorrow Never Dies game, but this game it plays out a little bit differently. I mean, you act more like a secret agent in the fact that it's in first person, you have more variety of weapons and gadgets used for your disposal, and it's in a way, almost seems like you have a variety of ways to really complete your objective, so to speak. So let's jump right into this. Well, for the good, I guess one thing I could say is I do like the fact of switching into the first person perspective. Is I think it's a lot better than having the third person than Tomorrow Never Dies, mainly because better accuracy and aiming, and also potentially kind of give you more immersion as being James Bond. Second, I would say the weapons. There's a greater variety of weapons compared to the last game, ranging anywhere from like handguns to magnums, machine guns, shotguns. Yeah, so we got like a whole variety. Third thing is I do like the gadgets. I mean, goes anywhere from a cell phone stunner, fingerprint scanner, a credit card lockpick, a flashbang flashlight. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. You know, the different variety of gadgets you can use, which kind of also helps you in terms of trying to perform stealth-based maneuvers in the game itself, or trying to get out of sticky situations. The third thing is I do. I guess. Well, the fourth thing is I kind of do like the variety in gameplay. It doesn't have really the same variety as Tomorrow Never Dies. There's no driving sequences, unfortunately. It's mainly first-person shooting, but like I said, there is stealth-based actions to perform, so it's not necessarily just running and gunning. And of course, there is a mission in the game that does allow you to play blackjack, so it is kind of a weird, strange variety right there, but it's something different. And I would have to say, I do like the fact that the game follows the story. Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes through the key points of the movie itself. Granted, kind of branching out to something, some originality in some of the levels. You know, so you're not exactly doing what the movie is, what the movie does or shown, but I mean, it takes kind of liberties in its own right and tries to play off of the movie itself. Well, for the bad, I can think of three things really. For one thing, the aiming. Well, the game itself it does function. It does support the analog control, so you can use analog sticks if you have the original DualShock One controller. But of course, in my case, I don't, so I'm stuck with the traditional PlayStation One controller. But in general, though, just aiming is kind of sluggish. I mean, granted, I've seen even with the analog controls, it's still kind of a little bit sluggish to try to really aim and kind of fire your weapon at enemies, and especially even with the manual aiming feature, it's kind of a little bit awkward at times. You know, considering it's not like you can really aim down the sights in your gun, so it's sometimes you're just spraying bullets and just hope for the best. Second, I would have to say is the fact that the switching between weapons and gadgets is kind of a pain, which unfortunately at times you're going to be constantly doing that throughout the entire game. But my problem is you can only have either a gadget or a weapon out. Yeah, I mean you can't have both at the same time. It's like there's no like slots for having separate stuff in your inventory, so it takes some time just to pause the game, jumping into the menu, choosing whatever you want, and then unpausing the game to continue. I don't know, like say if you want to get a key card going, you know, you go into the menu, get your key card, activate it, and then you have to go back into the menu to unequip it, and then pull out your weapon. Granted, there is a way for you to switch weapons and gadgets in real time in the game itself, but I mean, you had to keep scrolling through the different items and stuff like that, yeah, and then trying to do that in the middle of a gunfight or whatever, it's kind of a pain. And then the third thing I would have to say is the difficulty. In my opinion, I would say it's almost about as challenging as Tomorrow Never Dies, but the problem is the fact that there's no continues whatsoever. So, I mean, if you like get yourself killed or if you fail the mission, you got to do the entire mission all over again, which is kind of annoying considering some of these missions are ranging anywhere up to about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So I mean, it's kind of upsetting getting to near the end of a mission, getting yourself killed, or you're failing an objective, and then you have to play the entire thing all over again. So it just kind of it's kind of a little bit mind-boggling, really, why they couldn't have any continues with that. Well, for improvements, a few things. For one thing, I would say give me some original missions. Like Tomorrow Never Dies, they actually had a couple of original missions in the game to kind of break up the story of the main game itself. I wish they could have done that in The World's Not Enough. Granted, like I said, some of the stuff that you do is a little bit original. It wasn't in the movie itself, but I would like to see some actual original missions that weren't in the movie, to kind of also kind of make the game a little bit longer, considering how short it really is. Second, obviously, give me some continues for the missions. Either give me continues or give me some checkpoints at certain intervals in certain missions. That way, even if you do get a game over or you get yourself killed, whatever, at least you don't have to restart from the very beginning. And then third, I would say it might be ambitious, but maybe give me like either a weapons reel, like an inventory reel, or maybe also just give me two slots, one for weapon and one for the gadgets, so that way I wouldn't have to keep constantly going in and out of the menus, or breaking up the pace and kind of taking myself away from the immersion. Well, overall, I say The World's Not Enough for the PlayStation 1 is actually not too bad of a game itself. Granted, at the time, there really weren't too many James Bond games, and I think it actually did not too bad, and kind of, in a way, I think it set this standard to future Bond games. I mean, like, seeing some of the future Bond games afterwards, like Agent Under Fire or Nightfire, they kind of more or less duplicated what The World's Not Enough did. Of course, made it better. um, yeah, so really overall, I'd say it actually did a pretty good job of even kind of following the story, in its own right. They didn't take too many liberties and trying to break up what the movie was supposed to be about, which I'm kind of glad. Didn't go overboard on that. But of course, like I said, mostly control wise is what was killing this game, unfortunately, which kind of made it difficult to really play at times, unfortunately. But really, besides that, though, I should like the game itself, and I would actually recommend trying it out. Possibly though, maybe with at least the DualShock One controller, if you can. It's kind of a pain trying to play this with just the D-pad. But overall, I would give this game a final score of I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10, just a little bit above average. Granted, it's not the greatest James Bond game ever, obviously, but I still think it did a decent enough job to get from point A to point B. Alright, guys, this is Devil Hunter XYZ, and until next time.